Welcome back to This is Baseball. My name is Brandon Johnson. Thank you for tuning in on this Tuesday. I'm excited to be back. The All-Star break is over. We're officially in the second half of the Major League Baseball season, and this is when things start to get real around the league. We're getting close to the trade deadline. That's coming up about 10 days from now. So we'll get a good idea of buyers and sellers, who's for real and who is conceding and maybe looking ahead to next season. So we'll have more clarity on all of that about a week and a half from now, which will then give us some space to talk about contenders and look at division races and wild card races and look at some of the moves that were made during the trade deadline. But again, that's the back half of next week. We've still got some stuff to go over between now and then. So that's what I want to do today. I want to go over the big story in baseball that happened over the weekend. The Yankees and Braves met up in a series in Atlanta, and the Yankees took 2 out of 3 games against the Braves. But that was not the big story of the weekend. Obviously, a lot of teams go on the road and win series, but something happened on Saturday's game between Jazz Chisholm Jr. and one of the Braves bench coaches, Eddie Perez. So the Yankees have been stealing signs from second base. So runners on second base are deciphering signs and relaying them to the batters. This is something that has been allowed forever. It's not illegal. What they're doing has been happening for a long time and is completely within the rules because they're doing it naturally and legally and just by gaining information and not by banging on trash cans, as one team in 2017 decided to do. But Eddie Perez, the Atlanta Braves bench coach, took exception to this. From MLB.com, Jazz Chisholm Jr. was standing on third base during a mound visit in the 6th inning of the game on Saturday and was staring towards the Braves dugout. He made a crying gesture and then kind of waved them off dismissively. And come to find out, Jazz Chisholm Jr. was targeting the bench coach, Eddie Perez, who was kind of yelling across the field at Jazz Chisholm Jr. And I guess Eddie Perez kind of pointed at his own head, and Jazz Chisholm Jr. and some of the Yankees players interpreted that as, hey, we're going to hit you in the head with a pitch. We're going to bean you. Which, obviously, hitting players with pitches is something that happens in baseball. Retaliation happens in baseball. Usually, you go to try to hit people between the numbers. MLB and teams have been trying to stop this. You actually don't see it nearly as much as you used to, but hitting somebody in the head is something that is never okay and completely dangerous. And Eddie Perez clarified he was not intending to threaten Jazz Chisholm Jr. He was just saying that you need to be smart. Eddie Perez even said, again from MLB.com, I like that guy. He's one of my favorites, and he got mad about it. I don't know why he got mad about it, so I was like, hey, take it easy. I don't really think anything else is going to come out of this. I think we've seen a lot of instances where Jazz Chisholm Jr. is in some sort of interaction with the opposing team. I've talked about it with the Royals, when the Yankees were in Kansas City, Jazz Chisholm Jr. felt like Michael Garcia tagged him too hard in the head and said he's going to slap Michael Garcia. So I don't know. I think Jazz Chisholm Jr. might also be somebody that looks for trouble when there isn't any, because even with that Michael Garcia, if you go look at the replay there, Michael Garcia didn't tag him hard in the head at all. It's just kind of naturally what happened. But anyway, just some good, silly little drama to start out the show between the Yankees and Braves. But to cap off the Yankees conversation, going into Atlanta and taking 2 out of 3 against Atlanta was huge because they sit 3 games behind the Toronto Blue Jays in the American League East. The Toronto Blue Jays just swept the San Francisco Giants at home, and now the Yankees and Blue Jays go head-to-head in a 3-game series. So by the end of this week, or by the middle of this week, the American League East could be tied, but we'll have to see. The American League East is all of a sudden really interesting. Like I said, the Toronto Blue Jays are a team that got really hot, and Boston Red Sox went on a 10-game winning streak prior to the All-Star break. They did drop 2 out of 3 over the weekend, but it is a 3-team race with 5 games separating the Boston Red Sox and Toronto Blue Jays. And one might argue that it's a 4-team race. The Tampa Bay Rays are right there as well. They're 6.5 games back in the division race. And to cap off the Braves conversation, they obviously are not having the season that they want to be having, but coming up on August 2nd, MLB is doing the MLB Speedway Classic. This is going to be between the Atlanta Braves and Cincinnati Reds. This is going to be in Bristol. So they've got a full baseball field set up at Bristol Speedway in Tennessee, and just a bunch of different attractions and things to do while you're there. So this is the first Major League Baseball game that will be played in the state of Tennessee. So going to be awesome. Again, that's coming up on August 2nd. That is, I think, something that Major League Baseball does really well. The Field of Dreams game was always something that was very well done and had a great presentation. They do the Little League game for the Little League World Series in Pennsylvania that tends to do really well. So this is just another pretty cool experience on Major League Baseball's schedule. All right. Oh boy. It is time to talk some Kansas City Royals, as we like to do on this podcast. Listen, Royals had a great opportunity to go into Miami on the road after the All-Star break and go take 2 out of 3 against a bad Marlins team. But instead, they lost 2 out of 3. They tried to lose the game on Sunday. They were up 7-0 and ended up winning the game 7-4 because the Marlins scored 4 runs in the 9th. Friday's game, Royals were down 5-0 early, came back with some unlikely heroes. John Rave hitting multiple home runs in a game, ended up forcing extras and lost the game 8-7 against the Marlins and lost 3-1 on Saturday. Friday night against the Marlins, Seth Lugo had one of his worst outings of the season, and Carlos Estevez did not have a good night as well. So now they've got, they've lost 2 out of 3 against the Marlins, and now they're going to go on the road against the Cubs. The Cubs are one of the 3 best teams in the National League. They're actually currently tied with the Milwaukee Brewers for first place in the National League Central. They're both sitting at 59 and 40. The Brewers just will not go away. In fact, the Cubs and Brewers both have the best. They have the most wins in the National League, and they have the second most wins in all of Major League Baseball. The only team that has more wins than the Cubs and Brewers are the Detroit Tigers, who just won their 60th game. But back to the Royals. They made a little move, traded for Adam Frazier. Adam Frazier was on the Royals team last year. They traded him for a prospect infielder, Cam Devaney. I think I'm saying that right. He's like 28 or 29 years old, so pretty loose term of prospect. Has yet to make his Major League debut. He was up on the Royals Major League roster, so he might have at some point. But bring in some veteran help, veteran leadership, a little bit of depth, better defense, and hopefully he can help this team out because they desperately need it. I'm very curious to see what other types of moves the Royals are going to make on or over the next 10 days. I heard an interview with JJ Piccolo that he doesn't see this team as a seller. I think if he says if you're selling, you are conceding, and he doesn't see that with this team. I don't really know what they're looking at doing. Obviously, we'll know when we know. But looking at the Royals' schedule, they have 3 games against the Cubs and play the Guardians. Guardians are currently second place in the Central. Neither of them are above 500. Both of them are chasing a wild card spot at best this season. Then Royals host the Braves, then go on the road against a Blue Jays team that is very hot. Mentioned them earlier. Then into Boston against a hot Boston team. Then the Twins, and the Royals just don't seem to fare well against Minnesota. I say all this looking at the schedule that I think time is running out and not sure if a big move at the deadline will help. I don't know. I think I still have this homer delusion that the Royals can figure it out, but basically 2/3 through the schedule, they haven't. So I think they are what they are, and they're going to need to do some things in the offseason to get this Royals team going. I've said it 1,000 times this season, though. It is awesome that we are nearing August and still have high expectations of the Kansas City Royals. I don't need to give you a history lesson on how bad the Royals have been over the last decade, but with the success last year and the expectations they had this year, while I don't think they're going to return to the postseason this year at this point, unless something crazy happens, I do still feel like even in 2026, 2027, 2028, this team is going to be a team that we look at as somebody that can be competitive in the American League. So that's good. But just comes down to maybe they make a trade, get some outfield help, some legit outfield help, and obviously more pitching. Nobody's ever complained about more pitching. But we've got a long way to go. So right now, as it stands, I don't see the Royals in the postseason, but baseball is a game about who is hot at the right time, and if they can finally start putting everything together, making an August and September run towards the postseason is something that is not impossible and something that we've definitely seen happen many, many times. I think the Detroit Tigers are a team that is a great example of that in 2024. So maybe the Royals can be the 2024 Detroit Tigers and make a run at the end of 2025. They're going to need a lot of help from some other teams along the way, but we're going to ride it out and see what happens. So thank you for tuning in this week. I'll see you Thursday.